What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfella back with the Box Clinic and more. We back on the back some grind. Just read an article why Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter Jr. didn't happen. Go check it out. I leave the link in the description all the time, or at least most of the time. I'm gonna leave this link to Boxing Scene there as well. And at first it seemed like it was like a mutual agreement, which it could have been, that the budget couldn't compensate both of those guys the way they wanted to, you know. And both of them wanted, you know, big money for a big fight. And neither one of them was backing down. Until I got to the last paragraph of the article. And, you know, I'm thinking right before I read that last article, in my head, it pops in my head like, you know, is he getting that much money for fighting Lipinets? Because he is a challenger. And I understand that he's the popularity A side, but Lipinets is the champion. So is Lipinets, you know, and him getting all this big money that Al and Showtime refused to pay him and Robert Easter Jr.? Because let's keep it real. Robert Easter Jr. is a bigger name than Lipinets, you know. And it would have been a unification bout with him and Mikey. And I understand that both of them wanted big money. And then get to the last paragraph, Mikey Garcia will start talking about, you know, Robert Easter Jr. has his height and reach advantage. It would have been a very difficult fight for me. And I'm like, oh, this mofo ducked. He ducked. So basically, you know, he felt that Lipinets was an easy fight. So he could, I'm just, you know, kind of jumping to conclusion. Like, he'd take short money, or he'd take the same money to fight Robert Easter Jr. I mean, they was getting to fight Robert Easter Jr. He gonna fight Lipinets because he felt like Lipinets was an easy W. He gonna be getting a world champion. He didn't want to fight the difficult fight with Robert Easter Jr. unless he was getting the big money, because the risk was bigger fighting Robert Easter Jr. because of the height and reach. And I'm like, man, this dude talks an awful lot, his team, but they stay cherry picking opponents, and now I'm starting to see that and what the fans are starting to talk about. You know, I thought Lipinets is a good fight. In his last performance, he pretty much invited people to come fight him because he didn't look as good. He didn't look good at all versus Kondo. And, you know, Kondo was a guy that fought his whole professional career in one venue. And he came over here and put up and show out. And I thought that he might have edged Sergey Lipinets. But Lipinets had to cut. And, you know, Mikey Garcia pretty much, you know, picked the easier fight for the world championship. You know, he cherry picked. And it didn't sound like a cherry pick till you get to the last article. And I was always wondering why that fight didn't happen with Easter Jr. I always thought Easter Jr. was a problem. You know, a lot of people, you know, the Shavakov fight was like, oh, you know, he overrated. Hey, people have bad nights. Especially when you fight in front of your hometown fans. It happens. You know, especially you fighting a little opponent that's like 10 inches smaller than you. You got to punch down. It happens. You know, he's continued to learn and grow. I thought he'd be a problem for anybody because he's very offensive. And he can use his height a little bit. He don't have as much as the Paul Williams syndrome as some other taller guys have. He can use his height. He's physically strong and he's big. And Mikey Garcia didn't want to climb that tree. You know, he told you that in the last article in this last paragraph in the description. You know, and he told on himself. He said, well, you know, he wasn't rush the risk. I'm going to fight Lipinets. You understand that he got a size advantage. But the height and reach of Robert Easter Jr. fight would have made it very, very difficult for the money that they was paying me. So he respected Robert Easter Jr.'s ability, height, and reach, and all that other stuff enough to go run and fight Lipinets. So this dude is picking and choosing his fights, which isn't new in the sport of boxing today amongst the young fighters. You know, everybody want to be like Floyd, but didn't know Floyd had to earn it the hard way just to get to that point. So he's picking and choosing his fights. And I was wondering why that fight didn't happen, because them rumors were strong. And I heard Robert Jr. say, ain't nothing finalized. It's all speculation. And he was right. You know, a lot of these guys, you got to put two champions in the ring. Nobody wants to take a backseat money-wise, period. Not an iota, not a dollar, not a cent. Everybody want to be the alpha male. They want to be the top dog. You know, I think they need to start going to splits where, you know, the winner gets the extra 10 to 15, 20%. I really do. I think that'll help make fights more competitive. I think it'll help make fights more easier to make. I think that's the way to go. You know, with all these guys wanting 50-50 and wanting this big money, if you really believe in your skills and your ability, and you fighting for pride, you fighting for honor, You fighting for accolades. You fighting to be the pound for pound fighter. I think that's a real trail right there. Start putting, 40, 45, 45 splits, and the extra 10% going to the champion. You going to the winner. But this dude straight swerve Rodriguez Jr. For Lipinets, an easy fight. He said maybe it could happen on another occasion, but in January, Lipinets was the right fight for me financially. We gone.